I have over 15 years, no, sorry, 10 years.
We need to see you. We need to see you.
I've been trying hard. I don't know why I can't. Okay, first of all, maybe I should apologize for that. I cannot see myself exactly. Instead, I'm saying.
Okay. Well, it's saying palm tree there.
Yes, I would correct that shortly. I think this happens when you keep changing backgrounds and everything.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. No problem. Go ahead.
I'm seeing you now?
Yeah, there you go. We can see you.
Okay, sorry about that. I have been playing with my avatar. That's why. Okay, so Rosemary here, and I have over 10 years experience working in the bank. My last position was banking head of operations, and one of the skills that I have earned and helped me over time was my ability to connect with clients as well as be able to understand their concerns or issues as relating to their products and services we offer in the bank. And I have continuously used that over time in different roles that I have managed. And don't really have a full experience with supply chain management. Coming to Canada, I decided to pick up or pivot to supply chain management because I'm really using my operations management skills, and that will help make me excel in that industry, and I intend to bring all that into the space as well.
Awesome. Yeah, well, it comes with practice, right? You did for the most part, but yeah, definitely there's always room for improvement, right? Okay, but you did perfect. The improvement area I will be okay. Maybe just shortening the value proposition part of it. I think you added motivation, but I think the motivation was dragging out a bit. Yeah. So, but I did see those elements in your introduction. All right. Who is next? Who wants to go for it next? Odunayo came in right after Rosemary. Is it? No, Sadiq actually. Sadiq, are you there? Sadiq there? If Odunayo is ready, you can go. Odunayo, are you ready? You can look in the chat box. You will see some guidance there. We can't hear you in case you're talking. I think you're on mute, but we can't hear you here. Okay, maybe Odunayo is not ready. I hear something in the background. Where is Sadiq? Adebimpe, I think I'm not sure if you are trying to introduce yourself. There's a noise in the background there. Can you mute? Ayo. Is Ayo there? Ayo, are you there? Odunayo, are you there? We're not hearing from you guys. Adebimpe, I think we're hearing some background before, but it's all good now. Can you introduce yourself, Adebimpe? Adebimpe, are you there? Okay, so we'll move on if we don't hear from you guys. But it will have been an opportunity for you to practice how you pitch yourself whenever you meet new people. It's one of the things we're discussing here today. In Canada, this is very, very crucial for you to be able to engage with new people, especially if you're new. So this is why this is something that we really encourage you guys to do. So Adibimpo, you said you're muted, and I'd ask you to unmute. I mean, Abiola, I'd ask you to unmute. If you can introduce yourself now, if you're ready.
Hello, good morning, sir. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning. We can hear you. Go ahead. We need to
Okay,
see your
morning, sir.
face
Can you
too.
okay?
Can you show us your face?
Oh,
If it's convenient
does
for
this
you.
work?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Adebimpe Kem. I am happy to be here. I have a background in law. I studied law. However, I've had over 12 years experience in core sales, technical sales. Um, I worked with a company, or rather, I've worked with several companies where they import and bring in heavy duty air conditioning for different projects. So I've assisted in ensuring that those sales go through and try and ensure that we give them solutions for whatever problems they have. I haven't thought about, or rather, I haven't thought it through to about what to say. So please forgive my
Yeah,
stuttering.
okay. It's all right.
So yeah, so that's it pretty much.
Oh, okay.
That's what I've been
All right,
doing
thank you.
so far.
Yeah, so
Thank you.
again, it's just an opportunity for you to learn how to do this introduction. Is very, very crucial. For any social engagement here in Canada, you will have to do this. And the first impression is very, very critical. I always also send like a follow-up message whenever people register. I send a follow-up message where I indicate that we need you to be professional for this networking event in terms of even your outlook, and even the environment where you are when you're attending this event. So for the guys maybe that are not able to show themselves, probably maybe the environment where they are is not okay. If you tell us that, yeah, definitely we would excuse that and allow you to go and ahead to introduce without showing your face, if that works better for you. But it's always very, very important that when you go for events, that you have a good first impression on people that you are connecting with. So we can move on from here. I think we spent some time introducing ourselves to help know ourselves better. So now I'll talk a little bit about the Supply Jobs Canada, which of course we have renamed the Supply Chain Industry Network. I know the supply chain name scares people away, but supply chain is the industry where you work. Regardless of what industry it is, it exists within a supply chain. So I've had the fun of poking at that word because it kind of confuses everybody. It would have just been left at the industry instead of calling it supply chain, because it just kind of messes people up when they were thinking like, are you talking about a geeky word here? Do I need to go and take my dictionary to understand what supply chain means? you know so the supply chain industry network, by the way, is a network of foreign trained, or what you call immigrant professionals in Canada, looking to integrate within the economy here. We understand the challenges. It's really about not having that social capital coming newly to Canada. You know you don't have your social network here. You probably had your social network from back home. So when you come to Canada, it's really a lot of struggle to connect with the right people. And what we figured is, having access to the right information, it's about connecting with the right people. And you've heard that word that says that you are an average of five people that you roll with, right? So it's exactly the same thing here in Canada. If you're moving with the people who are, ahead on the journey where you're just starting, the chances of you succeeding is very high. So this is why we created this platform. we realize that already have a large number of us who are actually in the industry, regardless of the challenges that you already know, which is discrimination, lack of ability to communicate effectively. So it's on both sides. And also, of course, the lack of Canadian work experience, which are emanating from these socio-cultural barriers, So it's not like to blame anybody, but, Canada has been open to immigrants for a lot of years. And but regardless, where you have a lot of different cultures mingling, it creates this unique challenge. And of course, on the economic side of things is where it really impacts our community of foreign trained professionals, where the ability to communicate effectively is impacted because we come from a different social cultural background. And learning that from those who have already been way ahead on this journey, which we have over 1,000 professionals in our supply chain industry network across Canada, by the way. And we also have a WhatsApp group where we, engage actively. We provide information relating to the industry as it concerns supply chain operations and project management professionals. We do have colleagues who are also business analysts amongst us, project managers. We have civil engineers. We have other type of professionals who are able to benefit from the information that we share on this platform. So that is about the platform. I introduced myself earlier, just a kind of a model for you guys to also introduce yourself. However, I would say to add to that, I said earlier, my years of experience in total is 20 years. I landed here in Canada 2010. And yeah, the struggle is better for a lot of people who are coming in. I hear people who come in and then say they got a job right away. Well, it wasn't like that for a lot of us who came earlier. Yeah, I work with a lot of jobs where I just was getting by, and it took me about 3 months to actually break in. But first, before that, I had to escape. I got a job back home and I left off. And 7 months was when I returned 2011. That I actually did some menial jobs here and there. And then eventually I got an opportunity to work with Home Depot in the night. So this gave me opportunity to focus on job search during the day. So just roughly a month after I got the Home Depot job, actually I got my first shot at the procurement role, which is procurement coordinator at Manitoba Housing, after which I also worked with the University of Manitoba for about 6 years. Well, I figured out that I'm more fulfilled, doing things like teaching, mentoring, and just generally helping because I'm the underdog guy. I like to help those who are going through the same struggle as I am. And so this is why I feel comfortable always doing this. And it's been a great journey. The past 6 years, we've been able to build this platform to over 1,000 professionals across Canada, and we also are on the WhatsApp. So today, our session is effective networking. However, we have a way that we have structured our schedule. Every first week of the month, we have the first Saturday of the month, we'll have like a newcomers onboarding. So this is where we really talk a lot more about the challenges, and then we introduce it to our network. We talk more about how we operate. And then the second week is we do a deep dive into a particular topic of interest that will help foreign trained professionals, newcomers. And this is talking about the job search roadmap. So the job search roadmap is, like just as the name indicates, it's a roadmap where we will talk about different things that you will encounter on your journey integrating here in Canada. And the topic we picked today is very, very crucial about effective networking. And, like there are different ways you probably have encountered what they call networking, but for a lot of us who I've done a deep dive into the challenges of immigrant professionals. We realize that what they label as networking, it's not really what it's supposed to be if you are going to be successful here in Canada. I've actually called what they call networking, I've called it not working. I've actually done like some ways you will realize that this is not working and that one is networking. So there are two different things, but a lot of the thing about networking out there is actually not working. So I'll try in the course of my presentation to juxtapose these two, so you know when you are not working and when you're actually networking. So the last two Saturdays we focus more on professional development. The third Saturday we will do a mock interview. So if you're thinking you're ready for it, you want to challenge interviewing, yeah, you can reach out, especially for those who are in project management. So we'll normally switch it. Actually, I want this time to be for people who are in data analytics. If data analytics is a career that you're actually exploring, we would like to make. It's been a long time we did one for data analytics. So if you're in data analytics and you think you are ready for interviewing, let's do a mock interview to help you get better prepared, to help improve and boost your confidence. The fourth Saturday is when we'll do a professional development activity. Either we're talking about a technology or we're talking about a trends in the industry. Yeah, just different things to help further empower our colleagues in terms of their professional development. So this is really how our programs are structured. Did somebody? Okay, so I haven't spoken about that. Abela, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to all I've said earlier.
No, I have some in the chat. So
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, good. Thanks for that. All right. So the new guys, welcome. Adebimpe, I think you came out and came back in. Ben, Daniel, and Daniel just joined us. You're welcome here. Okay, so today, effective networking. We're going to briefly talk about it, and I want to do an intro of an industry network. I mean, in the Industry Connect conference that we usually would have every November. However, this year we're going to do something different. We're going to do. We're going to do what is it called now? Like a networking mixer this year instead of the conference, because the conference requires a lot of planning, and this year we're not really looking to be able to get that off ground. So we're going to be working towards next year. So, but all the same, I'd like to quickly introduce our network since we're talking about networking, right? So let me share my screen here. Let me. You guys, can you guys see my screen?
yes,
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure they're seeing my screen on. Let's see. Give me a sec. And okay.
And again, we know the story of supply chain disruption and COVID. So if you are listening to the radio, there's a lot of talk about supply chain. However, before COVID, if you talk about supply chain, it's just like some geeky words. And a lot of people will just not connect with what you're saying if you say, oh, supply chain. But COVID made us realize that supply chain is the industry. And without supply chain activities, operations, really the industry doesn't exist. And this is what actually inspired us to call this the industry connect because a lot of people can relate if we call it the industry. Industry Connect is an inspiration from the activities that we've been conducting within the supply chain industry network. We understand the issue of social capital being a very huge gap for foreign trained professionals, whereby they come into Canada and they've not really had the type of social connections within their desired industry. And what this really means is that most of the time, when they are job searching, they're just doing random job applications. Having realized this as a huge gap for foreign trained professionals, we decided that we're going to be supporting with information through the network of mentors, colleagues, and experts within the industry who themselves have gone through those journeys, thereby creating that huge social capital for anyone who comes to Canada newly and then connect with our network. They immediately increase their social capital through those numbers of people we have in our network. We thought the next level for us is to actually connect with the industry in organizing this type of events. The Industry Connect, as the name suggests, it's an event where we are looking forward to connecting with the industry professionals, industry leaders, students, newcomers, entrepreneurs, and anyone who has some interest or some stake in the growth of the economy here in Canada or locally here in Manitoba as well.
Oh, yeah. So I think that also gives you some type of, you know, just a second here. Give you some idea as to the motivation for what we do here as a network. Is clearly expressed right there in that video. And again, this will be something we're working towards to next year to have this conference again. This year we'll just focus it on just networking generally. Okay, so I will here start my session focusing on effective networks. Give me a second. Let me open up my PowerPoint. All right. So I have to share the screen again. You see my screen?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Need to bring this here. There you guys can see it. All right. Okay, so this is the topic we are dealing with today. If you have questions, I think you should put the question in the comment section. Biola would look out for it, and we can deal with the question after the presentation. Also, if you have a comment, maybe you have some experience that you think will help to further buttress what we're discussing here, I will definitely encourage you to share that experience. It helps to further, um, you know, improve on the conversation and the topic. So today we're going to look at effective networking. Yeah, we've done some introduction already. So we'll talk about the job search strategies from the job search roadmap that we had last week. So if you missed the job search roadmap introduction we did last week, I think it was Gautier that did the presentation last week. You can check our YouTube. It will be there. Bella, you can share the YouTube link as well, so you can refer to it later to connect it back to what we're talking about here. So job search strategies, rules of effective networking, practical networking strategy, what is the next step after this, and then question and answer session. So after the presentation by Gucci last week, I think he was able to show you guys these cards here, which is referring to the strategies that you need to pursue actively when you are job searching, especially as a newcomer in Canada. You need to leverage referrals. Okay, leveraging referrals here is speaking to ensuring that there is somebody who is giving your resume to the hiring manager. That's what referral really means. There are other type of referrals, which is a corporate program where they will say put the name of the person in that application. That's not the one we're referring to. If you got that, great, but the one we're referring to is actually somebody giving your resume to the hiring manager, because it helps you to cut down on the the barriers which usually you would experience when you're doing online application. When you're doing online application, there are a lot of barriers that you're dealing with, because you're just pretty much behind the wall of your computer, and you're really not talking to an actual person within the company. Like when we did before technology, there was a recruitment that happened, and we know some of it is on the traditional media, but most of the jobs that were applications that were happening in those days were face to face, and it's still the most effective type of job application. So this is why referral is very remains very important in your job search strategy. There's a lot of issues that we don't have time to talk about today when it comes to online job search. I call it the spray and pray method. Okay. Because that's just what it is. You don't know what is happening the moment you put in that application. It could even be possible that this thing is just put out there for paperwork's sake. Like they're not really looking for anybody from outside. They already have somebody inside that's gonna do that job. So this is why referral is helping. It helps you to cut down on all of that waste, all of that frustration you go through when you're doing online job search. Get a mentor. So this is also very critical. Getting a mentor. This is one of the things we do on our network, right? It's just we want to make sure that you are getting some type of feedback. The frustration that happens in the online job search with a lot of newcomers, as that video showed us, is because you're not getting feedback. You're not really sure what is going on. And aside from you're not sure what is going on from the employer side of things, you don't also have somebody who is helping to debrief, somebody who's helping to share some of the mistakes you're making from their own experience to help you understand how to do things differently to get better, right? It's always the case that when we are going through a journey and there are struggles and there are challenges, we don't really have a better view of the situation that somebody who is looking in from outside. So that's what a mentor helps to do, to help give you that clarity on that journey you're on, so you could do things differently and get more result. Get a job search strategy. So this is also another one. I talked about, and this is the one we're actually focusing on today. socializing your job search. So when we say networking, what we are really saying is to socialize your job search. And I like to always talk about project management, because I see job search as a project as well. So as somebody who is very, passionate about project management, I would see, job search as a project. And I say that there are a lot of stakeholders that will determine if your project is successful. I see this is the case with job search. There are stakeholders that actually are influencing the outcome of that job search. So you need to be able to uh, connect with these case stakeholders, or even to understand better their point of view or their expectations. So this way, you're able to know how to engage better when it comes to job search to be successful. Different stakeholders. I mean, the hire manager is one of them. The HR people, they are also stakeholders, albeit I say their influence is not as much as that of the hiring manager, because the person that is going to be hired, their performance is very critical to the performance of the hiring manager. So they basically call the shot eventually. Of course, they have to do the paperwork. Aside from that, maybe leadership at that organization. That's why you have to still go to do some interview with the director or the VP, regardless of whom your hiring manager is. So it means that they also have a stake in that process. And so when you talk about networking, it's about getting across to meet these guys that are making these decisions, and you're able to have that impression on them that convinces them beyond the resume we are carrying around that we can actually do the job. Like, we'll be able to meet them at companies events, and some of these events are events that we're not really exploring fully. Companies do have open houses, where you're able to just go in and meet the stakeholders, meet the key stakeholders at that company. Professional organizations, they have this type of event, maybe it's social events or whatever, and you're able to meet these stakeholders, those who are actually making these hiring decisions. They're in an informal environment. So this is what we call networking, where you're able to, start engaging face to face, and then building relationship or nurturing those contacts that you have made. SWOT resume, it's just talking about targeting your resume effectively so that your resume is being seen by a human being, not just rejected right out the way. When you apply to these jobs online. So there is a lot of things going on the back end, like I said earlier. Seek feedback. This is also, about this journey being a journey of self-reflection and helping, getting people to help, you know, understand and have clarity as to what you are going through, so that you could do better and become more effective in your job search. Upgrading your mindset. So the mindset game is what I call this job search situation as well. When you go through these frustrations, rejections, it really plays some tricks on your mind. A lot of people go into you know, what they call that language now, loss of self-esteem. I mean, if you don't grade things back home for so many years, you come to Canada and then you're being rejected, for applying to, roles that are even below the jobs that you've done back home. So it definitely has this impact on you in terms of um, your self-esteem, and people can get into this rabbit hole of emotions where um, they're not able to really make good decisions when it comes to what do you do next, or how do you proceed. So this is where we talk about feedback. This is where we talk about getting a mentor, because when you are in this situation, you hardly are in the, like, there's a place where, you have this cognitive dissonance, when you're going through these challenges, like, you are not able to make good decisions. And the decisions that you would make at this point might actually cost you not even money now, but time in terms of how you're able to integrate going forward. I've seen people spend 5 years struggling to get into their career here in Canada, and before they got help, or maybe something happened for them, and then eventually they were able to integrate. So you don't want to be that person, because this is about sweat, tears, blood, if you may. So you want to make sure that you're getting the right guidance going forward to help you transition successfully. So that's uh, the job search strategy that I would recommend. We call it the Pareto rule of job search. Let's do a deep dive right away into the Canadian networking culture. So networking, well, before I came to Canada, I would say I didn't have any clue as to what networking is. In fact, we have a word for that when we were back home. We would say it's legwork. Like when you're getting to connect with people to help you with a job in the company where they're working. Yeah, and I came out of school as an introvert, right? University, I studied mechanical engineering, so you can imagine that a lot of us are introverts that went into the innovative, or let's say creative space. I came out, and then 2 years, I didn't get a job. Right? You would have thought that somebody like me will come out of school with a job. I had a scholarship, when I was in school. So the same person that has scholarship in school now is struggling to have a job for 2 years. And I will tell you that one of the reasons why that happened is because I wasn't socializing. I was just somebody who stuck to myself. I was always like, that was my comfort zone. So I realized those were my challenges, and I quickly adjusted, because I realized that if I was going to be successful, then I had to socialize. And it's one of the reasons why I actually accepted the supply chain challenge, because I realized supply chain, as compared to engineering, will help me to overcome my challenges when it comes to socializing. And here we are, right? I couldn't believe that I'm somebody here talking about myself in front of people, and so I've come a long way. So my point here is that when it comes to networking, if you are not actively engaging, I think I see a lot of people shy away from it. See, we brought up maybe from a culture where you're supposed not to talk about yourself, where you're not supposed to be vulnerable because people will use it to judge you. So these things has really gotten deep with a lot of us, that when we come into this culture and we're trying to integrate these behaviors that we have learned over the years, gets in our way, because we're not breaking out of those comfort zone where a lot of people still are in their cultural bubbles. What I mean by cultural bubbles is that if you look around you and the people you're still engaging with in terms of socializing with are mainly from your culture, you're in a cultural bubble. It means that the ideas that you get are limited to that community where you're always socializing in, right? So this is not something that will help in Canada. It's good to communicate and engage socially with your people, people of your culture, but you will be limited in terms of the exposures you have to opportunity outside of that immediate community. So networking in Canada is more than just exchanging business cards. It's about building genuine, long-lasting relationship with others, like colleagues, professionals in your industry. Networking in Canadian culture is a cornerstone of professional success, and it's why this topic here is very crucial for newcomers. This networking, if you're doing it properly, will help you to be exposed to opportunities for career advancement, mentorship. Even if you are already hired and you're working within a company, you need mentorship within that company to grow. and also industry insights that you probably would not have heard if you're not uh, networking or socializing. So cultural nuances and etiquette also are very key when it comes to Canada. You know, again, going back to the socio-cultural differences, there is a whole lot of things, nuances when it comes to Canada and the culture where we are all coming from. The small talk is not something we do from my culture. We go straight to the point. So what? How does that affect somebody who is a newcomer in Canada? You know, you go on LinkedIn and then you just go throwing out this information about how you're new to Canada, you're job searching. Now that is a big turn off because you didn't even get to the point where this person is comfortable with learning about you, but then what you put forward is just yourself about your needs, right? How does that sound? Like you're being a needy person right off the bat after somebody connected with you. And then some people will tell me, oh, I connected with this person, they're not responding. Yeah, because you came off as somebody who is needy, right? And talking about that, somebody that I coach currently was telling me that when he brought down the open to opportunities thing, that label or whatever they call it that they have, that layer thing you have on your profile on LinkedIn. The person was telling me that when they brought that down, that's when they started getting people connecting with them. You know, so again, when it comes to networking in Canada, you have to approach it the Canadian way. Canadians are definitely polite people. They like to be respectful. They also, when it comes to this respectful thing, um, we have some nuances like what we call the arms. Is it? I forgot what they call it. Like if you are talking with somebody like a Canadian, you have to be with the out of their arm's length. If you are within their arm's length, it tends to be threatening to them. Like they get comfortable, but which is not something from our culture. You know, you can meet somebody right away in our culture and you start putting your hands on them. You know, that will be a no in here in Canada. So there are a lot of things you need to understand in terms of the nuances of socially engaging here in Canada. Of course, there are some other barriers like, you know, like our accent, which we're not saying that accent is not, you know, accent is not a bad thing. Everybody has one, even Canadians have accent, right? But the thing here is how do you speak clearly over this accent so that they can hear what you are saying? Like I always tell people that when I was growing up back home, I have difficulty hearing, you know, Europeans when they speak English. Like I struggled to hear what they were saying until, you know, like when you start watching these movies and things, like over time you kind of get used to their intonations to understand what they're saying. It's the same thing with Canadians hearing a Nigerian accent for the first time. Imagine that struggle too, you know. So it's this is how this thing works, you know. You might think that, oh, you know, they're discriminating or things like that, but of course sometimes it's because of the situation where these cultures are mingling, and each person is sort of struggling with how to approach in this sense. You know, a lot of things about people's names as well, you know, those times when I wasn't comfortable with how people will pronounce my name. I'll call myself Abi, right? But now I call myself Abiodun. You have to learn how to call it, right? Because it's about being respectful. You know, and I've seen it, a lot of us want to avoid, you know, letting people know how to call our names. But the thing here is that it also has to do with being respectful, because the very first way you build trust is by calling the person's name the right way. If you're not able to call somebody's name the right way, you're already breaching the trust right there. So how do you then continue to engage on that level when you're not able to, you know, call their name properly? So you also have to be genuine in your interactions. because you don't want to say something and then eventually they find out that, okay, that's not really true. That breaches trust. Trust is very, very fundamental in any relationship we're trying to build, right? So I'm going to leave it at that. There are a lot of things to talk about when it comes to Canadian networking culture. But we'll take it a step at a time so that we don't overwhelm you with everything. So what I would need you to do, as we always try to do here, is we do assessments. This assessment helps you to see maybe things that you're not doing correctly so that you can address it. So I'm going to share this particular, let me see, this survey with us. I want us to do this survey and I will share the results. Okay, so this is the survey. I don't have the OKI code, but let me share it with us. So look into your, can you guys see my screen for the survey? Just want to be sure. I know I can see it on LinkedIn, but I'm not sure if you guys are seeing. Are you guys seeing this?
We can only see networking assessment.
All right. Okay. So let me reshare my screen then. I thought that would be the case. So I've shared the link in the comment section for that. All right. So I see 3 people already in. 3 people are in. How many guys we have? Okay, we have 12 of you here joining. So I'll wait until we have about 10 people in, because I know some people might just be listening in. 4 to go. We have 8, 2 more, and we start. And somebody has 1 to go. One more. We need 1 more person to sign in and we start. Okay, I think we have the other 3 guys are not here or something. Okay, so this is the question. How confident are you in your ability to network effectively? So given the background information I provided here about networking in Canada, how confident are you with networking? Or maybe the experiences you've had so far? Very confident, neutral, somewhat confident, not confident. Okay, so I'm just watching those who are responding. We have 4 people so far. Okay, 2 more people to go. So 4 people said neutral. Okay. 2 confident and 2 very confident. Well, that's awesome. Okay, let's go to the next question. How often do you attend networking events? That will probably help you more on knowing if you're indeed confident, either online or in person. So frequently is more than once a month. Occasionally, rarely, never. All right. I think these are people that are really active, so we move forward. Do you actively use LinkedIn for networking? Hmm. Okay. So for LinkedIn, is actually a tool that you can use for networking at scale, right? So as we have here, not many people are using it. I think what I see here is 2 people using it regularly, which will be interesting, right? How prepared do you feel for conducting informational interviews? All right. Okay. So informational interviews, one person said very, very prepared. So I don't know who said that very prepared, but if you can you tell us more? The person who said very prepared, can the person share how you get prepared for informational interviews? You can also type in the chat box if that's what you prefer. All right, so let's go to the next one. How often do you conduct informational interviews? All right, let's see. A few times a year. Okay, that's rarely. So, and then 2 people said occasionally once a month. Okay. So you remember earlier I was talking about socializing your job search, right? And how the stakeholders that are working, or that the stakeholders that influences the outcome of job search decision are people you actually meet in social events or professional events. So this also speaks a lot about how well we are effectively networking, because if we are not moving people to informational interview stage, then it means that we are probably not nurturing that relationship, or we're not even doing follow-ups after we meet people. That's what this indicates. So again, I talked earlier about not working and networking. So a lot of the things that we're doing is actually not working. So when they say, oh, network, we'll go to these events they're talking about, right? Like, so what happens after that event? Nothing. So that is not working. But if you go to events and then you do follow-ups, and then you add value to this person you have met, either you're collaborating with them in one way or the other, or you are adding value to whatever they are told you that their regular activity is, either maybe you are supporting it through one way or the other, you are helping with your time and things like that. So this is what then leads you to what we call informational interview. Having seen you as somebody who is of value, it leads naturally to that point where these guys are able to share insights with you, or to even share recommendation. How about to even help you with referrals, because they've gotten to that point where you're no longer just a stranger to them. You're now somebody who they see as a professional colleague, as somebody who could be of value, having taken interest in what they are also doing. So a lot of things is missing in our networking, and this one thing here is an indication of it. How do you typically find contacts for informational interviews? Okay. So LinkedIn, it's one professional events, one referral from friends or colleagues. Others, please specify. So the person who said other, can you share with us what that other is? You can type in the chat box. Okay, so we see it's all over the place. LinkedIn, professional events, referral from friends or colleagues. What is your biggest challenge when it comes to networking? Yeah, you will get yes, you will get a score after this. You get a point and see if you passed. Finding the right people to network with, maintaining connections. So it's between those two, right? So maintaining connection is the one that has the largest here, and I think maintaining connection here is high because usually we might not really be taking in that person's needs, because if we do, then it's possible that we will be able to maintain connections. And this is where the not working that they are shouting on the top of the mountain out there, and this is where you see the gap. All right, this is where you see the gap when they say go network. They are not really emphasizing that networking really is adding value to others. That's really what networking is. But the way they put networking out there is, oh, something you have to do to get what you want, not something that you have to do to add value to others. An example of an effective networking is volunteering. That is what networking is. Volunteering helps you to meet people, and apparently if you are volunteering means you are going out there and you're probably meeting the same person, right? And you are on top of that person's mind because of this. But if you are reaching out to this person just so you could see what you want to get, and it's not about you giving to them, this is where you will have that gap. Because of course it's all about me getting something. So if I didn't get something the first time, then I probably would not be in connection or being engaged with that person going further. So this is just something that also shows us there is a problem with what they are shouting out there about networking, that they're not emphasizing that networking really is about adding value. It's about creating value with other people. And when you do that, you're top of them, you're on top of their mind. And besides that, they see you as somebody of value and they are easy to reciprocate in that sense. How effective do you think your follow-up after networking events or informational interview is? Yeah, this is a jam question, right? Should call it. Right? We're waiting. Only 2 people have responded so far. So far, I haven't seen all these questions we've been asking. How effective do you think your follow-up after networking events or informational interview is? I guess that's what the question is getting at. Okay, so you've seen some of the important components of networking. So what do you think? So it's all over the place. Some people say effective, some people neutral, some people say somewhat effective. Okay. So I would say out of the guys that were responded, only 2 consider that their networking is effective, which is pretty low, out of 7 people. How do you usually prepare for an informational interview? So there was a question earlier where we asked how prepared you are. So this is like a kind of a follow-up to this one. How do you actually prepare in order for you to be effective at informational interview? That's if you actually do informational interview. I guess if you don't do informational interview, just say none of the above. Researching the company, preparing a list of questions, setting clear objectives. So 4 people said all of the above. 1 person said none of the above. I don't know what this thing is showing on my screen here. Okay, so preparing a list of questions, researching the company, yeah, for sure. So here is the thing I want to also add to this when it comes to informational interview. So a lot of people need to understand that informational interview is synonymous with you setting up interviews yourself instead of waiting for interviews. I don't know if I'm making sense. So what I'm saying here is this. See, the natural process for job search is for you to go through a formal process of applying to jobs and then waiting for the HR hiring managers to call you for an interview. Now, informational interview is a proactive way of setting up that interview by starting an informational interview yourself first without having to go through the online route. All right. So I'll give an example so that will make sense. Right. So there is a lady I work with at some point, I think based out of Calgary. I wouldn't mention name. And so she applied to this job online. And I told her that, look, okay, well, we need to reach out to people inside this company. And then she told me, like, oh, guess what? I actually have met one of the founders of this company at one event that I went to. Oh, that's great. Why don't you reach out to her? She was hesitating a little bit that, okay, maybe, yeah, because there's a job opportunity right there. Hopefully, maybe she'll be able to respond. And then she reached out. Of course, the lady set up what we'll call an informational interview with her, because it's not the official process. So the official process will still happen, right? But then this person, being the stakeholder who makes a decision, wants to first of all know about this lady from the informal process. Like they have met at a networking event already. So she scheduled a coffee meeting with her at the coffee shop. And then after that, guess what happened? She was actually called for the formal interview in the office. So my point here is just to help you understand that you shouldn't be waiting for interviews. You should be setting up the interviews. And this is what is called informational interview, because this is where this person can actually know you genuinely, to understand your competence, what you bring in terms of how you add value. And then that way it gives them some level of conviction as to your capability and what you can do on the job. And it might be that there's an active role or there's no active role. But what my point here is that it gives them some level of comfort in knowing that this is somebody that we could actually bring to an actual interview. But it is your own duty to set up that informational interview, because nobody is going to just reach out to you and say, oh, well, why don't we have a chat and let me see how you're doing on your job search, and then we could. I mean, the only person that will do that with you is probably your mentor or your coach, not the hiring manager. But you can actually set this up by connecting with people within the company. You don't know who the hiring manager is. They might be the one. All right. And they might not be the one, but they can refer you to the hiring manager. I hope you get where I'm going. So, which might lead to the interview that you're really looking for. So, we need to change that, that paradigm, in order for you to be able to use networking effectively for job search. Again, networking for job search go beyond just going to meetings, right? You need to know how to use informational interview to drive job search. And it requires you to be very active in connecting with key stakeholders in the industry. As I mentioned earlier, nobody puts a label on themselves that they're a hiring manager, right? All you have to do is connect with your colleagues, or some of them who are senior colleagues, and peradventure they might actually be a hiring manager. So the point here is always leveraging informational interview. All right. Which of the following do you feel most needs improvement in your networking and informational interview skills? So having talked about all of this so far, which of this do you believe needs immediate improvement? Okay, confidence in approaching people. I'm not surprised. Knowing what questions to ask, following up effectively, maintaining professional relationships. Yeah, so all of these are normally the challenges we have, in how we're able to and use networking effectively for job search. You need to have that confidence because, as I mentioned earlier, it's about having a good impression, first impression. Some of it starts from your LinkedIn. If you go to your LinkedIn and you don't have a picture there, well, guess what? People would hardly connect with somebody that doesn't have a picture on their LinkedIn, right? And then also beyond that, there are ways that you need to approach that don't have to be direct, like we do from our culture. We like to be direct. In fact, we can be called aggressive sometimes with the way we approach a social, set social engagement. We could be seen as being direct. Whereas when it comes to Canada and Canadians in their social interactions, they are more, you know, um, you know, mm, they are more assertive than aggressive. Um, but when it comes to engaging with people, they will want to learn about this person from that distance before they are actually confident or comfortable in taking the conversation forward. So, but maybe if it's the reason why you are really connecting with this person is maybe at a networking event, yeah, it is possible that, well, we all know why we're here, and then we know it's just for the purpose is to connect. But when you are reaching out to people from a different setting, which is not like a social networking mixer, you have to vary demure, as I say these days, in your approach. It doesn't have to be aggressive. I can tell you that. Some of it, of course, is the first impression, and then, of course, after that is your ability to establish why this person should feel um, comfortable to connect with you. What value did they gain from connecting with you? And then there are different mediums through which this could happen. It doesn't only have to be at events. There could be other things. I mean, LinkedIn is there. Um, there are events, even online events, like the one we're having here. Like, this is one of the reasons why I would say, okay, guys, put your little introduction in the chat box, put your LinkedIn URL there. It helps you to have that level of confidence. Oh, well, I met this person at this particular event. Okay, then if that is the case, like you already have some level of rapport in that sense that it helps you to then take the conversation to the next level. So the environment in which you are meeting people and your intentionality, like being intentional in actually connecting with these guys in this different forum or network where you have met them, is very, very key to making your networking effective. Okay, so that's all in terms of but I hope that there are a lot of nuggets you're able to get, like looking at that presentation. We'll go back to our PowerPoint. I'm gonna stop this session so that we can look at the result. So you can see the result here. Success rate is 6.2%. So this is an indication also that, so you can see 15 failed this that have done this test before. Only one person has passed so far. So this is an indication that I think this person that passed is actually coming from this particular session here. So you can see the result as we went through. We looked at all the results here, but this is like a summation of the results we've had over time. I think we have how many people are taking this now? Quite a substantial number of people are taking this, as you can see. Okay, 16. Okay, so far 16 people are taking this. So I hope this helped in your understanding of how networking should happen, and more specifically, informational interview is a strategy that you use to really drive value in your networking process. If it's the purpose is job search, then you need to be having informational interviews regularly. There are a lot of things that are come out of an informational interview. It doesn't have to be referral, and that's one thing I want to point out here. There are rules when it comes to informational interview. We'll take care of that at another session that deals directly with informational interview. When it comes to informational interview, these are the kind of outcomes you might get from it. You might get some insights that you never had a clue about, when you are doing informational interview with somebody that works in a company, especially if this company is a company you're targeting, right? So besides that, the person you are doing informational interview with can actually connect you with the right people within your industry that might then help with whatever uh, thing you're working on. If it's job search, they might help connect you with the right people within the industry. Aside from that, they can also offer some other type of support, like maybe helping to review your resume, or even send your resume to their colleagues, which we call referral, right? So all of these things, in fact, they could also share information about how their process works within their organization, be it the recruitment process or even the functional process in which they are working in. So maybe how does their procurement works, how does their supply chain works, how does the project management work. So all of these insights you'll be able to gain through informational interviews. So I'm going to stop sharing this so that we can go back. I don't know if there's any question at this point. We've covered a lot already. So I want to know if there are questions. Any questions? Abiola, do you have any question there?
There are no questions in the chat.
Okay, but if people can can open their mic also, they can also ask questions that way. Do we have any questions?
I have a question. I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one would be, how do you go about implementing opportunities in Shira projects? Like, how do you?
I didn't get that too.
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you repeat that?
So you did mention of mentorship, and I was wondering, how do you get mentors? Is there a process that Shira projects?
Okay. So in terms of mentorship, the way we have done it in the past is that when people come in newly into our network and they do the 15 minutes chat thing, one is then able to understand better, their background or their unique challenges or their industry, so that then if we have people within our network who are mentors, then we can connect them with those guys, and then the mentors will take it from there. Like, we don't have anything to do with it from then on. It will just be a matter of you then following up with that mentor, or maybe meetings or any other thing that you might need from them. That's kind of the way it works.
Okay, thank you. So, second question Say for example, I see someone on LinkedIn and I want to like start a connection. Obviously, I want to have maybe a job referral or say a job. How do I start off the introduction, the connection without making it seem like, oh, I want a job? How do I do it?
All right.
About having like
Yeah, that's a very good question, actually. I think it leads us to the next slide. So, because the question really just is saying that, okay, well, we're saying that we have to be demure in how we approach people. Otherwise, we'll be seen as a needy person. And that's a very big turnoff in Canada when it comes to engaging socially. So, I think these slides will do justice to that. So the rules for successful networking in Canada. So this could apply in any scenario. You could apply in the scenario that Bella just mentioned there, so which is LinkedIn. It could also apply in a networking scenario, or could even apply maybe in an online event, like this. All right. So take interest in their journey. That's the very first thing that you have to do when you're trying to connect and you know build a um a relationship with somebody you're meeting newly. So you want to understand their own journey as well. Like, what is their interest? I mean, this is why you have a profile that you can go on their profile and gonna look at, what they are into. When they are not working, what are the things that they're doing when they're not working? Are they into some type of hobby? Or for someone like me, who I do this right aside from work, knowing these things gives you some more insights into that person's interest, and then you can now reach out and then talk about, okay, maybe what they are doing, and maybe even how you could help, or how you could connect them with somebody who might have some type of resources that will help to further develop what they are working on. So this is the end goal. Remember when I said networking really is about mutually adding value. It's not really about, what they say out there, as if it's, what can I get from this person, which is what I call not working. Networking is adding value. Not working is what is in need for me. Right. So active listening is also very, very important in that sense, that you need to be able to get some uh, key information from engaging with this person, either through emails or through LinkedIn. You need to be able to attune to their thoughts and feelings. Like some people, the way they would approach on LinkedIn, even in responding to your message, you can quickly get an idea of, okay, if this is something that would work or it will not work, or maybe there's a way you have to readjust your approach. But if I'm applying this to, am I still, just give me a second here. Okay, just give me a second. So if I'm applying this to Abiela's question earlier, the first thing is, when you take interest in the journey of the person you're reaching out, you look at their profile first. And when you're approaching, first off, you need to actually introduce yourself and then talk about why you are connecting. What did you find interesting in their profile that makes you want to connect with them? Let's say they've even connected with you. Then once they've connected with you, still introduce yourself. Let's say you didn't do that in the first instance, and you can do that and then talk about how you add value, and then now talk about, okay, well, this is actually what you saw that makes you want to reach out to them. See, it is not about job at this time. I'm just saying, oh, I found something really interesting about what I saw on your profile, that you're working on this, you're working on that, and that's really exciting. I would definitely like to know more, if you don't mind. Can you spare a time, where you could talk more about these, or share insights or recommendations about this type of a thing that you're working on? Read, you see that? So I'm focusing on their own interest first. So that's what it should always be when we are reaching out to people. Um, and like I always say, that everybody is on LinkedIn for something. Even directors, they are not on LinkedIn for giggles, right? They are there so that they can connect with the professional networks. Who knows who might reach out to them, and then it might be somebody who has a solution to a particular problem they've been struggling to fix. So everybody is there for something. So, but you need to be able to take interest in their own journey first to really then understand where you can come into, um, to have that conversation and nurture that relationship going forward. So it's also about building rapport. It's a sense of connection that you get when you meet someone you like and trust, and whose point of view you understand. So that's what building rapport is. So whenever we are trying to reach out, we want to make sure that we establish some level of rapport with that person. You see, taking interest in what they are doing is actually building rapport. But then reaching out and talking about, oh, I'm looking for a job, is breaching rapport, because you didn't do the first thing about, okay, how can you um be of help, or how can you take interest in their own journey. So when take interest in their own journey, as I mentioned in the LinkedIn example, you're actually building rapport. And then follow on from that is where you keep on nurturing the relationship. You do that through informational interviews, attending their events. If there are people that are into events, organizing event, if there is a way you can like their posts, if they share posts, you can post, repost their posts, and there are a lot of things. You can even connect them with people. You can connect them with networks that do things that they have interest in. A lot of things that you can do to actually nurture a relationship. And these things are things that does not cost you anything whatsoever. There was a time I connected with a guy who is in the research and innovation space, because I was kind of exploring that at some point. And the first thing that I met him, and then we had a discussion, is I saw an article in the news about the research and innovation space, which I thought might be something that would maybe change the way things are going, or change the industry where he works in. And I sent that article to him. I just talked about my own view of what I saw in the article. Now that is adding value. All right. So now compare that with just reaching out to somebody, and then all the thing you're talking about right away is how you need their help for job. So this is networking versus not working. All right. So this is how it works when it comes to the Canadian space. Yeah, so I've said is that networking is about adding value to your connections and nurturing relationship with new contacts in your target companies. And then you need to be intentional about this. You don't have to be all over the place, throwing cards around, trying to meet people. You need to have some scope in the areas where you're trying to to build your network. Have you identified the industries of interest? Have you identified specific people within that company, so that then when you follow them, for example, on LinkedIn, and they share things about, oh, I'm going to attend this event, that helps you then to be able to know, okay, I have to be at that event to actually connect with this person face to face. See, so these are the different things that you need to do going forward to be able to build your network successfully. Yeah, of course, LinkedIn is a huge part of this. LinkedIn, like I said, is just an app or a tool that you would use to leverage all these concepts that we have discussed so far. Of course, you need to do some specific things on your LinkedIn. Like, this is a different session. We will talk about this in detail. Engage with your networking. Engaging with your network is crucial for building relationships and staying visible on LinkedIn. You can engage with your network by liking, commenting, sharing. So these are some little things. Congratulating them on their milestones. Like, people share a lot of things on LinkedIn that you can actually interact with. But sometimes I have this feeling that we might think when somebody posts a job, something about job, yeah, you might be like, me that I'm still looking for a job now, and feel like discouraged or something. Like, no, celebrate them, because your own is on the way, and then you never know where that conversation might lead to. If you like, and then you reach out, oh, I saw. You can actually go into their comment section and congratulate them, and then have conversation relating to how they got that job. Who knows what information that they have they might be able to share with you, because you are still looking. So we tend not to look at all these small things are important, but they are very critical. They are things that get you to clues, to open up clues that leads to opportunities or get you leads that helps in your job search. Right? So seeking recommendation, update your status regularly, grow your connections, post something again, add value, add value, add value. You don't have to be an expert to share. In fact, there's AI right now that you can actually use to generate some topic of something that is of interest to you, and you share it. And then your network, will participate, like maybe liking or sharing. I mean, this is what it is. This is about nurturing. You have a lot of people on your network already, and you're not engaging with them because, of course, it's a large number of people. But you can use LinkedIn AI to continuously engage with them by posting regularly, or by even engaging with others posts, either reposting or sharing. I mean, we post a lot of things on our network too. That is an opportunity for you to engage with your network. Repost it on your own platform. Do a little, sentence on that post, and you see people will engage with it. And this helps with your visibility on LinkedIn, because as you're doing that, a lot of people within your network are interacting, and on the algorithm on LinkedIn is written to optimize for those activities so that more visible within your network. So if you have large number of people within your network and you're not really sharing, you're not doing it, you're not reposting anybody's share, you're not commenting, nobody will know you exist in that network. As well as the algorithm of LinkedIn is written to drive such interactions. Okay, so I'll leave it at that. So again, use LinkedIn. Networking events is also another one that you can use. There are a lot of different networking events. In fact, there are hundreds of events that are happening on LinkedIn. Like this one, I'm streaming this one on LinkedIn, by the way, this presentation. So through this, connect with people. The one we're having here on Zoom, you can reach out to the guys that are connected here. Join our platform www.supplyjobs.ca. Go to networking mixer event. There's one of the guys I'm working with who told me he went to one of the supply chain groups event recently, and then he was able to get a referral through that because he was able to see the stakeholders. Like I was saying, these are the guys who make the hiring decisions. You will see them at these events. So do this. Volunteering is also a key one. Joining professional network to volunteer. And when we talk about rapport, there's what I call mutual rapport. So mutual rapport happens because there is something you have in common with that person. Now, when you go to an event and this person happens to be at that same event, do you know that that is a mutual rapport? I'll tell you another one. Even if I didn't attend an event and I see that an event happens and somebody that I'm interested in was at that event, guess what? I will actually then reach out, or I'll send a post about that event and say, oh, you know what, I really like something or thought or idea you shared about so thing. See, as you are doing this, is an imprint on this person's womb. Eventually something might show up in their company, and then they won't see you as a stranger at that point in time if you're reaching out to know about that job opportunity that they posted. So it's an organic thing, rather than just, okay, I'm just reaching out randomly. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's possible that you can reach out to an hiring manager to just right away showcase your I mean, to indicate your interest in a job and share your resume. Absolutely do that every time if possible, that you know the hiring manager. But again, you shouldn't be expecting instant results from that. That is a step in the right direction, that okay, even if it doesn't work well this first time around, it will work well the next time around. I'll give you another example here of a guy that I was working with, a project management guy. Actually, he's trying to transition. He was in real estate back home, and yeah, I've been telling him about this thing, that this is the way this thing works. Like you have to be confident in reaching out to people, especially hiring managers, because all these hundreds of job postings you are doing online, the whole goal is for an hiring manager to see your resume. So if you have an opportunity to reach out to a hiring manager, take advantage of that. So a hiring manager whom I've connected with, but I've never had any interaction with her. I reached out to her on behalf of that guy and said, look, I have this guy. I think he will be able to deliver. He has this experience, this background, but no pressure. If absolutely, you don't have to consider that I'm sending the resume to you. I'm just letting you know that I know somebody who might be able to fill that role. And she's the hiring manager. Guess what? She wasn't. I mean, he was interviewed. He was interviewed, and this is the first time this guy actually got interviewed for a project coordinator role, because I just reach out just to show him an example of how this thing works. But then when it comes to those who are not working, they'll think, oh, it's they don't have the confidence to do that. I mean, this is a job search market. They call it market for a reason. There are sellers and buyers. If you are selling a product, why would you be shy selling your product to the buyer, to a qualified buyer for that matter, the hiring manager? So all of these things really, really important when we're using job search effectively to we're using networking to job search. All right, so I'm going to skip this. I had this before, just kind of show you. Informational interview, we'll talk about it during the survey. Informational interview offers an opportunity to gain insight into the workings of the industry from the perspective of a colleague or mentors. If rapport is established, it may lead to job referrals. This lady is a student who attended a conference last year, and then the lady sitting down there is actually working for the city of Winnipeg. So you can see this is an engagement here that would eventually lead to further discussion, where if there's an opportunity within the city of Winnipeg and this lady is interested, she could refer or even suggest that opportunity to her. So this is very key. I mentioned unique value proposition earlier. Usually people think, oh, because I'm looking for a job, I'm worth nothing. I cannot really to speak confidently about how I add value. That is not going to work. That is not working. Networking is about positioning yourself as the problem solver. People who love problem solver. You don't even have to wait until there's a job posting. You can go to the company and see what they probably are struggling with. You can go on their LinkedIn or their website, and then based on what you see that they might be dealing with or a project they are working on, you can actually send a proposal about how that problem could be tackled. Or if you see that hiring manager mention something about, okay, well, people post a lot of things on LinkedIn to drive conversation. Yeah, you can, squeeze yourself into that conversation. Make a little post, of what your might be or what your ideas are. And then after doing that, request to connect with them. Then reach out and say, oh, you actually have done something close to this before. Like, you like to share your experience of how you've been able to deal with this type of a thing. If you wouldn't mind, or I would like to set up a 20-minute session over Zoom with you, and I could demonstrate some of this that I've done in the past. See, this is an industry approach. This is the way the industry works. Rather than what they have been telling us about jobs, how it works is you go and do some 100 applications online that will end up in the trash can. As a small business myself, this is how it works. I can't be waiting on RFPs, RFQs from companies before I sell my service. I reach out to people in a very intentional and um, and proactive manner so that they can know what I do. If you go on my LinkedIn, go to the service page, you will see people who have testified about what I do and things like that. Do you have search on your LinkedIn? Do you have recommendations on your LinkedIn where people are saying about, or even your former boss is saying, "Oh, I've worked with this person," and these are very strong value proposition, social proof, by the way, that potential employers or recruiters will see and be like, "Oh, I'd like to know more about this person based on the supervisor's recommendation." Right? We're missing a lot of um, opportunities in all of these areas, right? Which I hope that I'm keen on. So here is another one: effective communication. When it comes to social interaction in Canada, it hangs on effective communication and public speaking. So if we have challenges in these areas, we need to address them. And we have an expert in-house that helps with that. In fact, Gloria, in the public speaking session workshops, she goes into the details of how you, in fact, with very practical tools to help you either in your small talks or in how you engage with new person, new contacts. So she goes through all of these things to the point that she even uses some what I would call physiological um, you know, tools to help in improving your communication that you would see instant results after that to help you with your clarity when you're engaging either in a networking scenario, a job search scenario, an interview scenario or an informational interview scenario. So all of these things hangs on effective communication. So I'm going to leave it at that. So here are the Pareto rule here for networking strategies. Build your network. There are different ways you can do that. We've talked a lot about that already. Leverage LinkedIn. I've given several examples. Networking events are very important in that you're able to meet these persons face to face. Informational interview, that's how you drive for opportunities, leads, or even um, information that will unique information that will set you apart from the rest within the marketplace. Offer a unique value proposition. I talked about that. There are different ways you could do this. You can reach out directly to your hiring manager. There doesn't have to be any opportunity posted before you reach out to them to, this is how you set yourself apart from the rest. Craft a concise value proposition to introduce yourself and your professional goals in networking situation, or even in the case where you're working through LinkedIn, you've targeted some specific companies. Who are the hiring managers within that department? Reach out to them on LinkedIn. Go with a value proposition. That could be a presentation of what you have done in the past few years. That could be a portfolio of work you have done in the past few years. They don't need to have an active job posting before you do these things, because what you're doing is that you're setting yourself apart from the rest, very proactive way, and you're also opening up leads, because this guy might know another guy in another company that is actually looking for somebody in that role. But because he decided that, until they post some jobs online, that's when you are now reaching out, now you are competing with a lot of people. 1,000. Have you seen those job applications and job postings on LinkedIn where they're looking for a procurement specialist and then 1,000 have applied? That's what I'm saying here. You need to set yourself apart from the rest by being proactive and professional, reaching out intentionally, and then putting your value proposition ahead of the other guys who are in the industry job searching. And if this guy is impressed, regardless of if they have a job opening or not, a lot can happen from that. He could also introduce you to some of their colleagues who actually have a job posting that is active. And this is the way to do it. This is what we talk about when we talk about the hiring pyramid. This is what is happening. Instead of going the way that the regular job seeker are searching, you're going through the bottom of that pyramid, which is the way that the employers hire. All right. Effective communication, I mentioned this, master the social cultural nuances for networking situation as a newcomer. It's not only in networking situation, in job search, in interviewing, in informational interview, in all of these areas, effective communication is key to um, effective communication is key to effective networking. I hope that makes sense. All right, so that's it, guys. If you have a question, I want to know. Networking as a job search strategy in short term increasing your job opportunity, but is a long term game for your career roadmap. So you might connect with somebody today, might not really help you with what you're looking for right away, but 3 months down the road, guess what? This person can actually move to the company where you're now applying to. Guess what? You know somebody there, right there. And so this is why networking is a very, very, very important strategy in your job search. And I hope with all I've presented today, you have more ideas on as to how to effectively network for job search here in Canada. So what's next year? Aside from question and answer, connect with our mentors. We mentioned of our mentors earlier. That will be with me. You're talking with me first, and then we'll have discussions around how we can help. And then if there's a mentor, particularly in our network or outside, that we can connect you with, we'll do that. Attend the public speaking workshop. Public speaking workshop schedule is not out yet. So it might be something we have to have next year. But if you are really interested in public speaking workshop, please reach out. You can use the QR code here to schedule something here so that we can put you in the queue for the next workshop. And also attend the LinkedIn for networking webinar. I don't know what this one is about, probably being from something from our old session we had, but use this QR code, schedule a 15 minutes chat, and let's see what happens after. If we can talk more about your specific situation and maybe what you might need to get you to the next stage in your job search or your career. So that's it for me. I don't know if we have any question, Abiola.
I can see a question from Adeleke. She said, what do I add in my LinkedIn profile to make it appealing to foster connection?
There are a lot of things you can do. I think we covered LinkedIn earlier. We'll have another session on LinkedIn. Maybe that's what we'll do the next job search roadmap, the second week of next month. However, if you go to the YouTube that I shared earlier, I've done a lot of YouTube on LinkedIn on my YouTube that Abiola shared earlier. Go to that YouTube. There are a lot of resources that we have there. Follow, subscribe, so you will get updates. And even these sessions here is being streamed there. So if you join YouTube, you will see that this session is also being streamed there. So that's what I would say for now, just to save time for everybody that's joined up today. But I hope there is no any other question. Okay, so thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it. Next week, like I said, we would like to have mock interview of, if it doesn't work, we might actually have an informational interview on data analytics. Those who might be exploring maybe supply chain analytics or data analytics or business intelligence, or we want to have something like that. Maybe like if we don't have people who are ready to go for the mock, we'll have an informational interview on the supply chain analytics. That's it from me. I don't know if anybody have any other question. Okay, so like I said earlier, don't hesitate to put your LinkedIn URL in the comment section. We'll leave this session for some minutes and before we close it for today. That's it. don't forget to schedule the 15 minutes chat with me, and we'll take things from there. That's the action you have to take right now. Having said, if we say all of this until tomorrow, if you still don't take any action, it's not really we could do about it. So I will encourage you to do that, and then we could speak more to maybe specific challenges or situation that you may be dealing with. That's it, guys. Have a great weekend. I have another session. I have an SAP training coming up in the next few hours. I think Rosemary is joining us, right? So let me see if I can take some power nap before the next session, which is the SAP training. Bye for now, guys.
Thank you.